One. Good evening, everyone. This is our first international podcast, Keystone with Founder Trader. I'm really excited and I'm glad to announce our first international guest today. It's MVA, brother.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because we decided as a Keystone Charts team, we decided to open up a little bit a gate of the Ukrainian and Ukrainian Russian languages because we think the trading is the worldwide grand topic, and we would like to bring you as much information as we could and to introduce you to as much of people as we could. And our today's guest, the MVA, is a really good example of what the international connection could bring to the table of the community, of the every of the traders itself, because he's one of the most active, is one of the most humble, and if one of the most, I would say, skillful guys out there. Besides having, like, from my proper opinion, a young age, he's the guy who already proved a lot, and he will be, my personal prediction, he will be here for a long time. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for having time with us, and please introduce yourself, who you are, and all of the things that people need to know about you.
Okay, so hello. My name is MVA. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Belgium. I originally got into trading in 2021 after graduating high school. So I went to college for like 2 months, and I got to trading because of my dad. He's also a trader for a very long time already. And normally the plan was for me to go to college to get a degree, of course, and then switch over to trading. But as I went to college for like a month or 2 months, it kind of became clear that it wasn't anything for me, and I started with trading in October of 2021. That's when I got introduced by my dad and went under mentorship by him to learn everything about it.
What was your first opinion on trading? Like, what was your perception of the business itself?
So I got into trading with crypto. My dad's always a big crypto guy, and I didn't know what it was. I just knew Bitcoin and Ethereum. So then he introduced me to day trading and risk management and support and resistance and all those things. So I got into learning that. And then I think it was a couple months later, start of 2022 or end of 2021, I met a guy in a group and he introduced me to price action trading. And so then I met a lot of guys on Twitter and Discord, and that's where my price action journey started.
What would you say, at least your personal opinion, what was the view of the father for introducing you to this business? Is that was just to follow his steps, or he was really seeing someone in you in order to become a good trader?
So I think my father thought about me. I always had a lot of discipline in what I did, and I think that's the big reason why he really wanted me to do this. And I've always wanted to be financially free. I always said to him I didn't want to work for anyone. I want to be my own boss and work my own hours like I want to. So then he kind of slowly introduced me. I was learning trading a bit when going to college, but not really to the point where I was actually getting better and better. And then he just decided, you know what, he can fully do this and we're just going to go trading full time. And yeah, so that's where it started. Just because I was a very disciplined guy, I think he saw potential. And yeah, that's how it started.
To be honest, that sounds so cool. Can you tell a little bit more about what is your that experience? What is that he trading and all of these details?
So he mainly trades crypto now. he went on a course in, I think it was 2018, to Spain, and that's where the big switch for him happened, and he was really invested in it for like a couple years. Like I was in the same room as him, and he was just on his screens, like, and I was always amazed, but I didn't get a single thing about it. And then when I started learning trading, he was trading crypto intraday, I believe. Just not traditional support and resistance, but I don't know, the thing that makes my dad great about in trading, I think, is his I don't know how to say it, his ability to like understand the market and not just short or long support and resistance, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, on a long term.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, and honestly, I would like to keep this conversation on your dad's view because it's really rare in this business, and it's particularly for me, it's pretty interesting to hear and to acknowledge that. What was the role of your dad? Like when you started the trading, it was a big role for you. It was your mentor. How the things went from there?
So I couldn't trade with real money, as said. I had to learn every bit about technicals first, and then risk management and all of that stuff before I could touch real money. So I paper traded an account, I think, for 4 or 5 months, and he looked at all of my trades and he just helped me charting with risk management, how you do this, how you do that. And from there on, I learned and paper traded. And then eventually, he let me open an account with, I think, 1,000 it was. And so I started trading on that. And I can very vividly remember this day. I still have it in my alerts on my phone. It's my first trade with real profits was in January 2022. I think I won like $5 something. But it was a really nice day, and I was really happy that day. And now I've got it as an everyday reminder at, I think, 7:30 in the morning. That my first ever trade was with real money, was profits. So yeah, that's where I started. He was always guiding me towards everything. So in the very beginning, I had to do a chart and mark out support and resistance lines, and then he would come check. And if I was right, I could do the following steps, and etc. etc.
Interesting. And from there, the once you started in this business with your dad, tell me about a little bit of insight. Let's imagine you have a dinner with your father, like the first months after you started. Is that everything you were talking about, like during the dinner, or you keep it just like during the work?
Oh no, I was full talking about it 24/7. It was a constant topic because I've always wanted like a lot of money, but I knew it wasn't gonna come easy. And he blew a lot of accounts and money as well in his early years, and so we were constantly talking about it, how I could get better, how I could do this, how I could do that. So yeah, it was a constant topic, and I loved it.
Yeah, man. I'm just listening, and I'm a bit of a jealous, but it's like the white kind of jealous because I think it's super cool. It gives you that extra boost because you always have some experienced person eventually just right behind your ears, and that's the big privilege. So I'm glad that you are the one. Let's switch a little bit our topic, and let's start with the first months. What was your perception of the trading and how it was like slowly switching from the hobby, right? Just the like some passion maybe to the proper work. Like as you said, once you had the first profit, it just blew your mind because you already saw that you were already making the real money with the skills that you already acquired. So how was in your mind?
Yeah, so it was an amazing feeling making my first real bucks with trading. I knew a lot more was possible because I didn't know a lot at the time. So I just kept learning, and then I think it was January or February 2022. I came across a guy, ICT. You of course know him. And then I don't know. I watched this whole 2022 mentorship, and I fully went with that style for so long, and I grinded it. I watched so many videos, and I just kept putting in the work. I think I worked like at least 10 hours a day for like 5-6 months. It was crazy. With my dad in the same room, it's just really nice to work together with him as well. And yeah, I went fully with the technicals, and that's when I think it was May 2022 when it hit me that technicals isn't the hardest part, it's mentally.
So it was a quite a long period of time of sleepless nights, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
We all went through the same. So, right, you're absolutely right about the mental part, because technical part, I would say it's the last part, because the mental, the physical, psychopath is also like the big part of trading. And let's talk a little bit about this. What was your biggest mental opponent at the start of your journey, and how did you confront him? How did you overcome it, and what was your work on the mental part?
So my biggest mental struggles in the beginning were patience. So I would just go on the 1 minute and basically short every fair value gap with a market structure break, and long every fair value gap with a market structure break. So I was taking a whole lot of trades in a really short amount of time, and it like really messed up my mental, because I was doing an FTMO demo, and I was easily getting them left and right. And then I finally bought a first account, and then it just went all downhill. Like it felt like I had no idea what I was doing. I was just losing every trade, and I didn't know what it was. So that was my first biggest issue, was the amount of trades and just the lack of context. And then second, of course, if I got a loss, I would be really, really mad, and I couldn't handle it because I wanted to make this work so bad. So I was really bad at handling losses as well. And then, of course, the third part was patience. I think that's still my biggest flaw to this day, is patience. Last week, I made a mistake from chasing price because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So it still happens to this day. I make a lot of mistakes on patience. So yeah, those are my three biggest mental struggles.
And of course, you never become 100% with a 100% win rate on your scale. But let's talk about the first one you mentioned, that M1 super cool sniper ideas traits. What was your perception at the moment when you realized that this is your problem, that you have to overcome it, and how did you manage to do that?
Yeah, so first, I knew there was something wrong because I was looking back at my trades from last week's, and it was like filled with such unneeded and trades without context that just made zero sense. It was just, on the 1 minute, it was a full-on run on stops, mark structure break, fair value gap, and I thought, wow, is this not working? And then on the M15, it was just single candle in a really bearish trend. And I was like, oh, that's why it's not working. So I decided to switch up my time frame. This was in June, I believe. I went to M5 only. And that helped a lot with my trade frequency. So I traded way, way less. But still, I had a lot of problems and mental struggles apart from that. Now, one of the three was gone. I mean, not totally gone, but a little bit gone. But I still had those other two to deal with. So I removed the minute one, and that was my first start to overcoming it, I believe, yeah.
So you would say that the lower time frame you use, the bigger anxiety brings you, right?
For me personally, yes. I believe some of my friends, some of people on Twitter can trade the 1 minute absolutely perfectly, but it's just not for me.
Okay. And what about the second one, the lack of patience that you mentioned?
So yeah. So I was just turning up to my desk every day, and I wanted to trade because I wanted the goal for me was a funded account, but it's 10% and then another 5%. So it's really, really hard. And I wanted to do it quickly. But, if you want something quickly, like it backfires and it goes the total wrong way. So I started trading a funded account and I just saw the time. I took my first trade and I saw the time ticking. And I was like constantly thinking about that date. I need to complete the 10%. That date, I need to do it. And it was just a loophole. And I took such bad setups because just there weren't any good setups. So I decided to take a bad one instead. That was the biggest problem in my earlier stages.
So you was just a little bit under the pressure because of that deadline you have on the phases, right? On the first and the second one.
100%. The time limit was just really something that messed me up.
And would you say, we already mentioned the proper funded accounts and all of these topics, would you reckon that the once you already passed, at least for your first funded account, it's become easier to do it like more times in the future?
Yeah, I believe 100% that it's true. So once you've done it, you kind of know what you need to do and that it's possible to just do it on a slow, consistent basis and that you don't need to rush it. Because of course you can get a challenge if you just wing it and you got lucky. But then of course you're going to lose in the first month. So yeah, once I completed the challenge personally, it was like I knew it's possible because I didn't violate any major rules then. And I knew if I just did it like this, like more challenges than not, I would pass. So I just kept with that line in my head and I just kept on repeating it.
What do you think about the age? Because in the moment as you're passing your first funded accounts, you were 19, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so it's pretty young age for a man to be already responsible for breaking such a big numbers at our reality. And would you say this was your opponent, or otherwise it was your friend because you was feeling like you have some time, or how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, so I always think in my head, like I have lots of time. I have more than 10 years until I'm 30. So I just make myself think of that and then the stress goes away. But it was a truly incredible feeling. I think everyone that passed the challenge can say that the first challenge is the most special to pass in forever. I didn't really care. I mean, I cared, of course, but it was $100,000 challenge. But the numbers didn't scare me in the challenge because I looked at it like it's still a tip. I tell people these days. A 10K challenge or a 100K challenge, it's basically the same thing for me because I look at it as percentages and not as Ks. Well, for example, you earn 3%. I say that always. I earn 3% now. It's good. If I done this with $100 or 100,000, it's basically the same. It's the same percentage. And so, yeah, that helped me in that. So the number really wasn't any major issue for me, but it's still a really nice feeling to pass the first challenge, of course.
It's pretty unique to have that kind of a mindset at the beginning and even at this young age, because a lot of the people nowadays, they just got into trading because of some promotions, because of some bullshit info on the internet, some showing up apps and all of that crap stuff, because they just see the numbers, they see the easy candles going up and down, and they think like because of the two buttons, they will make it rich. But in your case, I'm pretty glad to hear that you, even at this same beginning, you had this kind of already proper mindset. I don't know. Probably it's because of the dad experience and his mentoring and the way that he was preparing you for those first year tries on the funded accounts. But it's pretty neat to have it. So like, it's glad to know. And talking about the proper firms and funded accounts, what would you say? What is your opinion on this business itself? How stable would you say that is, and how I don't know, how widely open? Like, is everyone need to try it, or just not for everyone?
I think prop firms are a really, really great tool for everyone, basically. Because if you have $500, you can do two things. You can open up an account and try to run it up. But if you risk 1% or even 5%, it takes ages. And I'm talking a lot of time. So what I would do if I had 500 is just buy a 10K or 25K challenge and try to pass that. And then if you pass that, just trade once. One win in the first month is enough, and just use that money, just get that money in your bank, and then you already paid yourself back for that first challenge. But of course, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. If you're new to trading, I wouldn't just buy a challenge at a prop firm right away, because you're just gonna lose all your money, and you're gonna keep on buying challenges, and it's an endless loop, and I don't think you need it. If you want to buy challenges, I would suggest you already have a trading model which is proven of profitability over the course of 6 months or even a year. And then still you need to get 10% in your first month. So it's really, really hard to do, especially if you're a beginner with all those numbers and stuff. But in overall, I think prop firms are a really, really great way to get yourself more capital and, I don't know, make it feel like a business. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's always how I felt it, because you're trading with someone else's money intentionally, and I think that's a beautiful thing. In my opinion, prop firms are one of the best things in the industry.
Yeah, it does make sense. And what's your prop firm of choice and why?
FTMO and TFF, of course. FTMO because it's the most reliable. I met a friend in 2022. His name is Riz Sardar, and he always recommended FTMO to me. And it just seems like the most reliable firm. It's been here for the longest amount of time, I think, FTMO. And it's just the best, I think, reliability-wise, because I've never seen a thing where FTMO doesn't give a payout or has any problems. So it just seems like the most smooth firm to go with. And then TFF, I think it's a little bit more new than FTMO. I think it's launched in 2021, if I'm correct. I'm not sure. But I saw a lot of friends of mine trading TFF. The phase 1 goal is 2% less, so that's better for most people. And because of all my friends trading TFF, I decided to give them a shot as well. And still to this day, I don't have any problems with the two. So those two are my two favorites.
So are you open about to talking about your strategy on the prop firms? Like you, as you already mentioned, you have the variety of them. So you have account on the TFF as well as the FTMO. How do you manage them? How do you do your mathematics?
So for the challenge itself, I usually go with a little bit higher risk and more risky setups right now at this moment, because I don't have the time to choose A+ setups for every single account and challenge. So what I did with my TFF challenge was, I think I traded a lot of news with it, because I backtested news for a while already, and it seems like the best way to pass challenges quickly and effectively for me. So I decided to go with that. And then I passed that. So that was really nice for me. And now on the account, I just use mainly M15, but also M5. And I take the one trade a week. I think it's the last couple months. Just not a lot trade frequency. But I don't need much profit right now, because I can just trade with 0.5% risk and earn 3R, and I'm done for 2 weeks. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
And what is your overall goal? You just wanted to capitalize as much as accounts as possible, or you have some definitive goal of the number you want to hit? I mean, financially.
Yeah, so the number, I think, is the same for everyone. 1 million is always a great number. But not necessarily. I just want to abuse the prop firms as much as possible, because they're not. I don't think they're gonna be here forever. Because in my head, it's one of the best ways to make money. And so if it's too good to be true, it's probably not gonna be here for long. So I want to get as much money from them as quickly as possible, so then I can move on and add that to my personal account or real estate or anything.
What make you think so? Or is that you're not seeing the perp firms on a long-term distance?
I don't know. I really, really hope they stay for long term, because I can see where they make revenue. Because I saw a stat, I think a month ago, like 0.05% of people that take a 100K challenge make their first payout, and that's just an incredible stat to me. And I see how they make money, but it just seems too good to be true. If you have a system and you have a profitable system, and you have your mental is good, and then you have an account, and it just seems like, I don't know, it seems too good to be true. But I really hope they stay. I really do.
You know, I have the opposite opinion because, yeah, of course, I'm also positive thinking. I'm also hoping and seeing the prop firms on the long term. And it's, for me personally, it's basically the same concept of working. It's like the same mechanism, because as you were talking about the static, about some statistic, we also had published some statistic about the MyFF, my Forex funds. Statistic that they provide for the February months of 2023, and we had some crazy numbers. I can mention them right here. So for every $180,638 spent for the challenges, only one person in every amount of these divided from the total capital is getting payout in the eventual result. So for every $180,638 spent, only one person get the payout. So if we will transfer it from the prop firms to the trading, it basically works always the same way. So we're fighting against our natural desires, and as well as the being greedy, being impatient, being like wanting to get as lot of emotions as possible, and all of those natural feelings that we would like to have from dating. So I think this is the main reason why at the beginning and eventually for some traders it becomes the end. Why is that they are failing? Why is that they're ending up losing their money or giving up on this niche as itself? Because they just don't have the mindset that you eventually just described earlier, to understand the game, to understand the numbers, and just to go with the flow, just to, okay, I have these numbers, I have these people that doing this kind of stuff to be this kind of successful. So if I want to be in that group, I have to do that. If I'm not managed to do so, I will always be in those 98% that you mentioned before. So for me, I think that the prop firms will work and will work for a long time. They will do a good job because of that human nature that we have, and eventually it's gonna work always, as well as still as we gonna be the human alive. I think the programs will continue to work. Maybe not that much of the influence that they had right now. All right, they just explode all over the world, like every program every 5 seconds, but it will establish itself. It will get like some proper amounts of most reliable, like you mentioned already, FTMO, TFF, MyFF, and all of those top ones. And I hope as well it will stay for a long time, but we never know.
Yeah, I can totally see. I totally get your point. I agree with you. To be fair, I just really, really hope they stay. It's just a absolutely beautiful thing. It punishes the normal human for being human, like you said. And yeah, if you just don't beat those 98%, you're good. And I just love that.
Human nature will work for so long, as well as still we will be the human. So yeah, I think we're good to go for the another topic, because this one is pretty good described by your side. I would like to talk about some struggles, right? The problems, the doubts, all of those mental parts, and as well as the financial ones that you could adverse here in trading. Like, what would you say was your one of the biggest, I would say, saddest days, right? The days you were absolutely down, you were down physically, mentally, you were struggling to gain back that confidence. What was the reason? What was your the baddest day in trading so far?
It was at that day I think I totally blew a challenge. I think I was up 9% on first, I believe it was a Thursday, and then I was down like 8% on the next Friday, and I was so gutted. I violated max drawdown, daily drawdown as well, and I remember that I was so sad. It was, I don't know, it felt like the worst day ever, because when I was up 9%, you obviously get the euphoria feeling. I just closed that trade, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. I was so happy then, and just to all of it to fall apart the next day, it was really one of the saddest days I've imagined in trading. Yeah, so that was it.
So it was a big of a emotion impact on yourself, right?
100%, yeah.
And how would you say that these changed, right? As you already mentioned, the 9%, you were up, you were right there in the sky, you were flying, you were super confident, and just the next day you woken up with that confidence, with that higher feeling, and then you get two times lower. What would you say the key of changing, of it's not happening in the future, to be like a more calmer one, a more confident one, more like straight one of the trader?
Yeah, so it was with that Friday, the day after I was at 9%, I was still 9% of that morning, and I took one loss. And this refers back to my mental struggles I had earlier. I couldn't handle a loss back then, and so I really wanted to make it back. So one loss turns into 2 losses, and then 2 losses turns into 3 losses, and then I took a break, and then I wanted to try it with 2%, of course. And then, I violated my daily drawdown rule, and it totally blew away. So I knew it was something to do with taking too many trades again. So then back then I came up with this rule: 2 trades a day max. If I got a win, I had to walk away for the day and just stop trading. If I got a loss, I was able to come back the next session. So I forced myself to take breaks, and then to come back with a fresh mind. And if it's not there, it's fine. I can end the day in minus one as well. So I don't know. I kind of forced myself to take breaks after an emotional moment. So I didn't have to make any decisions when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you had that mix of the mental struggles, right? You went from from the desire to be right on the market, to be always right. Then you just wanted to gain back your money, and then you was just you lose your control. You just was out of your mind at the moment that you were down the 8%, right?
Yeah, 100%. I was totally freaking out. I was like, how could I have done this? I had everything laid out for me. I was already planning ahead as well for phase 2. So that's what's kind of, yeah. It was just a classical trader moment, I would say.
Yeah, thinking about that, renting the yachts, flying,
how to
private jet,
100% buying the cars already. Yeah,
all of that noise. Yeah, but we all have to pass through those things in order to understand what is working and what is not working. What about your work on the emotional part, right? After you had this proper down day, of course you're not waking up next day the same person. You get to bed. Like, what was your process of thinking? How was you trying to overcome this kind of a problem that you had?
So I knew I had to fix a lot, but not necessarily my technical parts. My strategy was fine back then, but so yeah, my first rule of thinking was I need to take less trades. How am I gonna do that? Maximum of 2 trades per day. If I get a loss, I'm able to come back next session. If I get a win, walk away for the day. And the next step I took was back then I met Atticus, and I saw him on Twitter, and he was talking about emotions. I read a notion from him, and it was like constantly talking about emotion. And then I wrote down what I thought in the moment, before I entered the trade, during a trade, after a trade, the reflection, what, not only the technicals, like what price is doing, but what I felt. And so I started writing that down. And I don't know, I gradually, the same things were appearing again in losses, and the same things were appearing again in wins. So I decided to, the things I was feeling before loss, it's not totally 100% right, but it just, the things I was feeling before a loss, if I felt that, I would just walk away from IPC. Because one of the things was feeling angry or a bit anxious that I couldn't find the trade. It was, I trade from my time 8 to 11 and then 1 to 3. If it was 3 o'clock and I didn't find a trade, I would kind of get the feeling I was anxious and I wanted to find a setup. And that was appearing a lot in my losses. So I decided if I feel anxious, I need to take a walk. So I took a lot of walks because I felt anxious a lot, and really had to step down my trade frequency. And that helped. A walk kind of refreshed my brain. And so I was able to come back fresh and just review the day and then come back the next day. So I was looking at it more like, I don't want to make money, but I want to keep money, and I want to preserve my capital, basically. That was my state of thinking back then.
Yeah, the first rule of getting the money is to save the money that you already invest. So let me summarize what you just said in few words. So you went from journaling, you understood that the mental part is need to be worked on as well as the technical one, right? It's not just reducing number of trades, taking lower number of trades, or journaling all of it. You also have to work on your mental part, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so keep on.
And that's when I realized technicals is about 40% and mentally is about 60% or more even. Yeah, mentally is everything.
100% agree. So from there, you recognize some patterns. You have some positive and the negative one. And what is it you do? Is that you strict those negative patterns, right? You went of understanding, of course, every time I feel greedy, I lose. Every time I feel FOMO, the fear of missing the opportunity, I lose. Every time I'm trying to regain the stop loss that I just had, all those monies that I just lost, I lose, right?
Yeah.
And from there, you went on the positive part that you understand. So every time I keep myself disciplined, I keep myself relied on those things that I'm doing. I'm being conscious and all of this stuff. Eventually you ending up getting those profits, right?
Yeah, 100%. It was with the winning feeling. It was like, I was searching a lot for setups, and when I was looking back at my wins, I was remembering like, I don't need to search it, because I've heard the statement once. If you look at your chart for a minute and you don't see a crystal clear setup, it's not there. And I just went with that thought a little bit, and I just kept myself disciplined. Don't force anything, and just, I don't know, go with the flow and let the numbers do its thing.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree with you, because the trading is not about finding, it's about waiting.
100%.
So what was like the period of time that you spent on those first like big improvements on your mental part, right? From the day that you already mentioned about the 8% drawdown, about like until the day that you said that you have some sort of the control over yourself and over your emotions on market.
Yeah. So it took me a lot. I'm still refining everything today, mentally and technically. You're never gonna get it 100% right, but a big portion of it happened in 2 to 3 months, I believe. I journaled everything. I wrote my emotions down. I knew what I was feeling, this and that, and then just I kept going. Eventually, just don't stop. It's simple. Just turn up every day at your desk, do the same things over and over again, and just keep you in that routine and just be disciplined. Because I saw a lot of my losses came from wait, no, I'm gonna word it differently. I had a model M5M1 and M5M5, and I was looking back at my losses, and all basically 70% of my losses were not even an M5M5 or an M5M1, and so that's when I went to a strictly systematical type setup. So M5M5 or M5M1, strictly that. I had a checklist next to me. How is M15 looking? H1, everything had to be in point, and that was a really big factor for me as well, because I was able to cut emotions out because there was no context involved.
I think we will have a huge topic over the video, and one is evil.
Yeah, 100%.
It will work well. And going on from there, like what time after you started training with your dad, right until you was introduced to the first trading community, how big of an impact it was on yourself, and what was your overall opinion? What is your overall opinion on the trading community at the moment?
Do you mean on Twitter or on Discord?
Now I mean the actual work, Discord.
Oh, so in the beginning, I kind of, I don't know, I found it weird because I saw a lot of people in communities and all together, and I don't know, I thought it was just a game alone. So I thought it was me and my dad, but eventually not. There were loads of communities. Twitter was filled. So I realized then that you could, I don't know, communicate with other people and share ideas and learn things from them. And so I don't know, I've always thought it's like a beautiful thing because you can make new friends. Like, I never imagined this like today a year ago, because I have so many friends. It's absolutely amazing.
What was your first community, and how was it your introduction? What was your thoughts?
So my dad, when I got into trading, my dad was in Walsh Wealth. You know that, WWG?
Heard about him, yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's strictly a signal group. He wasn't really taking the signals, but he was just looking what other people thought and what the people in the chats were saying. But yeah, I never took signals. I didn't take any signals. I just learned. Same with my dad. He didn't take any signals. And then in that group, there was a person called Pat, and he had a very different way of trading than 90% of people. I saw a bunch of red lines. I saw a boss. I saw a raid on sell side, and I was really, really confused. So I decided to message him, and he was very kind. He's a very kind guy. All of my price action started with him, and he referred me to Tyler and Josh. You know them?
Heard about them as well, yeah.
Yeah. So they had a strictly PDF for price action, so I bought that, and I started learning from there, and that's what kickstarted my price action journey.
So it was like a bit of a boost for your trading style, right?
Yeah, 100%, because I was trading roughly support and resistance before that with RSI and volume, and then I saw this price action thing, and I was like really, really amazed. So I bought the PDF, and it was like all of these examples and all laid out pretty beautifully, and I felt like, wow, this is actually something really nice, and I decided to go with that and drop the support and resistance, RSI, volume early on in my trading career.
And what was your style like? At the moment you joined the Discord, you saw a bunch of new information. Or you was just silently trying to learn that, or you was the person that was constantly asking questions, like clearing all the doubts that you had during the time of learning the new base of information?
So when I first ever looked at a community in Discord, I didn't know what I was looking at. I just was used to my own chart with RSI and volume, and then I saw all of these other indicators and Elliott waves. Actually, I was about to learn Elliott waves, and I'm really glad I didn't, because oh my, yeah, I just didn't know what I was looking at, and it just really amazed me because I was trading normal SR. And then in the group, there was one guy who was not looking at trading view. It was like, it's Exo charts. He's trading TPO. And I thought, what is this? And another guy was trading Elliott waves, and another guy was trading this and that. And it's really, really confused me. And I don't know. I didn't know where I needed to start. So I was kind of learning everything. But then again, when the price action came, it's really different. I was convinced this is the right stuff, and I just went only with that and didn't care about the other things.
How much time you needed in order to understand the concept of the smart money, of the price action?
It took me, I would say, I think it's December to May that I only studied price action, and I was doing a lot of screen time, examples 24/7, hindsight, front testing, even with a bit of live money, and then so I like a good 4 or 5 months.
So you just went on
constant learning.
Yeah, so you just went on full focus and like a very strict amount of information and the very specific style.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, that's about the right to do. That's about the right thing to do in order to create your own style and in order to finally become profitable. Is already decide what is that you wanted to trade, and these like normally rely on one source of information instead of just trying to get a little bit of everything from everyone.
100%.
Tell me about a little bit about the Keystones, because
so yeah.
The moment I saw you, I was always telling you that you are such a nice personality, but I never knew your story. I never knew where did this guy came from. What is the guy from Belgium doing in the Ukrainian community, and how is all of that happened? Tell me, I'm really interested.
So I think it was around August and September, if I remember correctly, when I first joined. So I followed FX Killer and Infair on Twitter, and they always had a pretty similar style to mine. I was trading M5, M5, and M5, M1 at the time. So I saw they launched a community, and I always was a big fan of them. I really loved their charts and their simplicity, and I decided to join. And then I met you, and you helped me with the mental part like no one else did. I don't know. You really flipped the switch in me where, I don't know. I decided to look at the mental instead of the technical, and it just really, really helped me a lot. So that was basically it.
What was the thing? What was the actual thing that got your attention? If we're talking about the Forex Killer and Infer, because the only thing you'd see is just you were looking at the charts and on their charts on Twitter. What was the difference between their charts and every other over there on Twitter?
Simplicity, I believe. It's like they really post consistent. I saw them always taking the same trades, like M5, M1 or M5, M5 with the same context. So their Twitter was like the same trades for a long period of time, and I was like really amazed by that. That's what made them stand out. And so when I saw they launched a community, I decided to I kind of want to interact with them and get to know their style, what they're doing, and everything. So that's why I decided to join.
Are you satisfied with your choice?
Yeah, 100%.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you finally become funded during the time at our community, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was really glad to know, because the message you sent us after you reached that goal, I was over glad. I was like up to the roof, because I was always supporting you, and I was seeing you as a first is a nice person, because as I said already on the few podcasts, every other trader that we already took the interview, that we spoke on a podcast, every one of them have some sort of I would say the individuality, like some specific characteristic that's puts him upon all of those traders, because every one of them is a good person, is a person of man value, is a person with a strong mindset. And I think, as you already mentioned, that the time you switched from being more mental, from being more technical, was the time that you made a big improvement. I think that's the case in the trading, because not everyone is understanding. My personal humble opinion is that you can trade. You can trade the waves of Elliott. You can trade the support and resistance. You can trade IRS and volume and all of these unicorn setups and all of that. That because everything is worked, everything works and will work as long as you have the right mindset. And not all of the traders understand that, and not all of the traders apply that. And I think trying to be humble, but here in Keystones, we always looked at the charts as the mental game, right? Just like as a poker, you have a lot of the same things, a lot of simplicity, and as well as you follow those rules, as well as you being disciplined, you will always reach your goal, as it happened with you. So I'm pretty delighted that it went how it went.
Yeah, 100%. I really that was a switch I needed from technicals to mentally, because when I had a bad streak, I would always look at my system, but it was never ever the problem. You can be profitable with trend lines, Elliott waves, if you just have a good mental and good risk management. And that, when I realized that, that's when I made the biggest improvements I've ever made.
For sure. What about your perception of yourself as the trader? Are you seeing yourself as the experienced one, or you're still a newbie? If you don't mind me calling your that's name. Where are you seeing you right now?
I definitely don't consider myself experienced at all. I consider myself not a newbie, but the thing after that, I think I've got a general grasp of what's possible, but I still need to exploit it to its full extent. Yeah, so not experienced at all. I mean, I'm a bit experienced, but not to the highest standards yet.
No, at the beginning of this podcast, we settled with you a few topics that we are going to be touching on. And one of those, actually the final one, the one that I would like to go on right now, is the hard reality of the business of trading. What would you say the reality that not everybody's seeing and not everybody understanding? And what would you say is important to know for new people, for people who was just got introduced to the trading or just started, or they are on this state of euphoria of earning the money, of everything is easy and all of that stuff?
So my biggest takeaway point or my advice would be just don't compare yourself to anyone. Set rules for yourself that you can follow, and just keep with them, because at this point I would rather, I mean earlier as well, but I would rather fail a challenge or anything when I followed my rules and when I did what I thought was right, than cheat my way through it. It's still like this. And another thing I would really say is a big factor, your in real life physicality and health. I'm a big fan of going to the gym, running, cardio, eating healthy, and I think that's one of the main things that gets me in the right headspace and allows me to work so much that I did back then, is my in real life perception of everything. Because what I did in real life was, I went to the gym, I did cardio, I ate healthy, and all of those things you need discipline, and in trading you need discipline as well. So that's why I took that with me, and that helped me tremendously.
Talking about daily routine, is there were some specific moments that you adjust in your daily routine in order to become like specifically better in trading? You think that this one thing, if I would do this, I'll become eventually better. I'll improve myself.
Sticking to a time period where I would look for trades. So that's London and New York Hills are now. Earlier on, before Forex, but that's not to the point. But I was sitting at my desk from like 7 or 8 in the morning until like 9, 10 at night. And I was just scrolling through the same charts and the same not the same, but educational material. And I was scrolling through everything I could. And then something like middle last year, when I knew I had the technicals down, but I knew something was missing, I decided to reduce screen time and focus on other things and improve my mental health and my discipline and just everything around that. So now I am at my desk around 3 to 5 hours a day, I would say. And earlier that would be from 8 to 12. So that reduction in screen time was really good for me mentally.
So now you organize your day and you like just adjust it in order to trade as well, but not organize your day over the trading as you did before, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And what is that you do in the rest of the hours you have left during the day? What is your hobbies? How do you like to organize your day?
So obviously I go to the gym, cardio, walks, games occasionally, and just spending time with family or friends is the most fun part. And just going out partying and stuff. It's all part of the young life. So yeah, that's because I'm not one of those guys that, I don't know how to say, that wakes up at 3 and takes a cold shower and then eats like only vegetables and meat. I'm not that extreme, but I would say I do like regular teenage things: games, partying, gym, cardio, everything like that.
Trying to live your life.
100%. And I believe everyone should.
How do you keep yourself on the track? Like, let's imagine it's the Friday night, all the work done, you hit your weekly profits, your weekly targets, you made all the job you planned before. And how would you like to spend your weekends? What is it you do? How do you keep your mental health as well as the just the physical health on some level, some pretty decent level?
So sleep is my most important thing. I always make sure to get 7 hours of sleep at least. For the weekends, in case of going out, I don't plan ahead. If there's something that my friends want me to go to, I'll say yes. I don't have a problem with that. And for the rest, I just do the same things in the weekend. I just chill, go to the gym, do some exercise. On Saturday, I do my review of the week before that, my performance, what I thought I could do better, what I thought I did bad, and everything like that. And then on Sunday, I do the weekly outlook for next week, which is what I did before this podcast. And some other things I need to fix up before the new week, and then just chill and relax and make sure to get to bed in time.
Talking about implementing the trading into your life, how the trading has already changed your personality, your perception of the world, the way you view things, the way you do the things?
So I'm much more of a calmer and quieter person, because I don't know, trading teaches you discipline and teach you the harsh reality, and I feel myself like not, I don't know how to really word it. It just makes you a better person, if that makes any sense.
It does.
How do I word this? Yeah. It's like, it's trading in real life. The things you do is really, really similar. If you do something in real life that you are bad at, you're probably going to be better than trading as well. If you're good at something in real life, you're going to be good at it in trading as well. Something like that.
You think you'll be able to recognize a trader from a long distance based on his behavior and all of this?
Actually, I've never met another trader apart from my dad in real life, so I would have no clue. I don't think I would be able to.
The reason I'm asking you, because we have this inside jokes between like some close group of traders, right? The more experienced one, not just from the overall community. We have this inside joke, it's called, if I'll translate it into English, it was called Spot the Trader, right? So the thing we are trying to discuss is we're trying to understand what we have in common. Those people that are have reached some basic goals, have become funded, at least got a few of the payouts, and work on those mental struggles and have managed to overcome them. And we are trying to understand some same pattern that we have in our behavior and in our perception of the life. And most of the times we are able to find them, as well as you mentioned on the prop firms, as well as you mentioned on the your structure of your day, and all of those small things really have some big, I would say, huge things in common between the traders that are being active in the same community. So we all uh, gaining some little points one from another and creating our own structure, but the base is basically always looks the same, right?
Yeah.
Discipline, patience, and all of those things. That was the reason why I'm asking you, because I have luck. I had the luck to meet a few of very, very big traders in real world, and it was the beginning of my journey in trading, and I was amazed. I was amazed not just because of his results, because of his influence and power, but I was amazed because of his personality, the way he talks, the way he introduced himself, the way he behaved, the way he sits. All of those things caught my attention, and I pretty quick, I understand that in order to become a big trader, a good trader, you have to become a big person. And most of the times, as we have this kind of the sloppy name of the trading, most people have a bad intuitives about trading, right? They're not thinking about the business we are doing. They're thinking more about the topic that was created by media and all of those Instagram advertising apps about the trading itself. And sometimes I feel ashamed to call myself trader, and I would rather call myself a car washer or some, I don't know, any other normal job, just because sometimes you don't need to introduce yourself as a trader to be a good person and to be a person of value. Yeah, so
Now you said that from a car wash. Tom Dante.
yeah,
He told a story on Twitter Space once where he was about to rent a car or buy a car, and he said he was a trader, and they wouldn't allow him because they thought it was gambling. So the next time he just said he washed cars, and they let him buy it. So I totally get what you mean.
yeah, that's the big reason, to be honest. And I get it a lot in my day-to-day life, because no more introduce myself as a trader. I never did, and I never will, because of those stories. And that's the question I have to ask you. What do you do, introduce yourself to new people, to new friends, your company, all of those new interactions?
So what I basically say is I say that I trade, but I say that I have a passive income on the side as well, more than one. So they're always like, oh, okay, so you're not relying on gambling, are you? Okay, I'm like, no. So yeah, and I totally get what you mean, because back in the beginning when I was learning, not stressing, but real money, when I said I was a trader, people were like, yeah, you're gambling, yeah, you're gonna lose everything. Remind me to this in like 3 weeks, and yeah, I totally get what you mean. So I totally don't blame you for not introducing yourself as a trader to new people.
Yeah, I'm never mind. I don't want to take over the wheel and make it about me, but this is the one thing. If I would have the right to give some advice to the audience that's gonna listen to this, it would be the only one: is not represent yourself of some industry before you become it. So don't call yourself some kind of a professional sportsman if you don't have a contract, you don't have the skills, you don't have the connection, have all of that, because you will create the fake thoughts about yourself. You will be seen as a clown. You will be seen as a lot of things, and it will even keep you far away from the reaching your goals, because you'll be thinking about those people's opinions instead of focusing on your job. So in that case, if you're one of those people that carry about any other people's thoughts, just introduce yourself as a car washer and keep on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you're just starting out, the less people that know you're studying or trying to become a trader, it's the better. It's just your close group, maybe your parents, your brother, your sister, your closest friends. But don't put that in your Instagram story. I'm gonna become a trader. Fuck you clowns in school. School is useless. Don't do that, because you'll get clowned insanely hard.
Yeah, I would say call the attention of people from your good thoughts and good actions instead of your status or fake status.
100%.
If you get what I mean. I think we'll wrap it up with this. I had a beautiful conversation, but I would like to end this conversation with a little message to yourself from here to 5 years around that. Like, if you'll review this podcast at some time, and as well as for the audience that were Looking at this, hearing your story and getting to know you, what would you say to those people and to yourself as well?
Just don't care what other people think, and just don't give up. Don't care what other people think, and just do your own thing. That's the best ever you can do. I know for myself, if I keep doing what I'm doing for the past year, I'll be so far ahead. It's incredible to think about that. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to live second by second. That's also a really, really important thing I would like to give away. Don't try to focus on the end goal. Enjoy the journey, because it's really beautiful. And once you're there, you're going to want something more. And then before you know it, you're 60 and you missed everything by focusing on one thing, and just enjoy yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was the MVA, a great trader, even better person, and I'm super delighted to give this kind of information to all of you. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and once again, MVA, thank you for participating in this. I wish you all of the love and all of the luck to you and your family, brother.
Thanks a lot for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I would be happy to do it again in the future.
Guys, it was all for today. I hope you liked it. If you do, give us some reaction, give us some response, and maybe we'll do another international one podcast. We will see in the future. Depends on what your reaction. So thank you once again, and see you all on the charts. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.